Welcome to Double Fries No Slaw. It is Sunday evening, September 12th. One of the more somber episodes that we've done. We'll try not to make this feel like a funeral, but TJ Pittenger, Richie Barnes. Richie, I know the answer to this question, but how are you doing? How was your weekend?
Honestly, man, I'm not letting Florida State football ruin any weekends. I had a great weekend. I did not have to work. Got to spend some quality time with the wife and the dog. And that 4 hours last night, unfortunate, but we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, really, really sad that Florida State's game against Jacksonville State was canceled due to lightning in the area, and that game didn't end up happening. But we'll go into next week and try and plan our second game of the year against Wake. I didn't even think that. Richie didn't even smile at that joke. So anyway, Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. I saw a great reply on Barstool FSU's Instagram that said, I went and got a gut box after the loss, and I cried in the box, and my fries got all soggy, and I still finished them all. So 1818 West Tennessee Street, 2550 North Monroe. Visit both their locations to drown your depression after the worst loss in program history. First lost by FSU against an FCS opponent, a game they led by 10 with just about 5 minutes to go, and ended up getting walked off against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Visit Guthrie's because that'll be the only bright spot of your weekend. All right, Richie, Florida State loses a terrible game 6 days after we felt like I saw some good tweets, man. Anytime something spectacularly awful happens, Twitter is alive, and obviously you don't want it to be at the expense of your team, but it certainly was this week. I saw a tweet that said Florida State went from the best loss in program history to the worst loss in program history in 6 days. And so at least you can kind of chuckle at it and laugh at yourself, I guess, and kind of keep the pain away. But Florida State loses on the last second touchdown where it looked like guys were out of position, looked like defensive calls were very questionable, looked like effort on the last play was very questionable, but again, probably shouldn't come down to a last play against an FCS opponent no matter what. Immediate thoughts, immediate reaction after the FSU loss last night.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Milton said it after the game. He said, when you get so high after a loss like that and think you're something special and you're not, this is what happens. And that's what we saw. And it was just disappointing entirely. I really, the fact that we did not see Chubba Purdy is an indictment on the coaching staff and their game plan, because they failed to execute and failed to put this team in a position to walk away with this game early like they should have. This is a team that lost to UAB 31-0 last week. Georgia beat UAB 49-6, I think it was this week. Just a terrible loss, and there's nothing positive to take from this game at all. It was just one of the worst things I've ever seen. And the worst part is watching the game, you knew it was bad, right? We're watching it like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. But you felt we're going to escape with a win, right? We're somehow going to escape and get the win and figure things out for Wake Forest. And then that last play happens. You have 9 defensive players within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage when they need to go 59 yards. Made no sense to me. And here we are 0-2 yet again.
Yeah, it really, like you just said, no positives you can take from it at all, right? And I think Florida State, I saw people talking about this. Florida State has struggled with pretty bad opponents the last few years and found a way to come out with a win. Should have probably lost to Sanford. We're down 2-3 scores to the same Jacksonville State last year. And then Travis came in and we were able to kind of run the ball at will and get the win. But year after year after year playing close against FCS and terrible teams, eventually it kind of came back to bite us. Again, it really shouldn't have come down to that last play, but what an indictment on the team, the coaching staff, everybody kind of involved on the sidelines yesterday when you give up a 60-plus yard play. And it wasn't a 60-yard jump ball where like fluky things happen or something gets tipped. That would almost be more excusable. If the kid could have thrown it 60 yards in the air and you knock it down and they catch it on a deflection, right? Like still heartbreaking, but to lose the way they did, absolutely nothing positive can be taken from that. And like you said, the idea that I don't even know. The idea that the game was even close, that it was within 4 points or within 3 points with a couple minutes to go is inexcusable. Like, there's no way the game should have even been close late anyway. And so, man, what a rough one for Florida State to have to swallow there. I mean, we put this as the title, but what now, right? Like, I don't really know how we spend too much more time on the actual game because everybody knows what happened. Where does FSU even go from here, Richie? Like, it's a tough spot to be in, right? I don't really know there's much more to say about the game itself.
Yeah, it's an inexcusable loss, and Mike Norvell has to wear this as the head man in charge. We gave plenty of flack to Jimbo, in 2017, and really during his entire career outside of that great run, we gave plenty of flack to Willie. Mike Norvell needs to own this one, and he did in the post-game presser, but we need more than that. And I won't sit here and say this is a must-win for Mike Norvell's career for his job or anything. It probably should be. But the reality is that we're not in a position where we can have that even as a conversation right now, that he needs to find a way to get this team back on track. What scares me to death is you think about a lot of our main contributors. These are guys that transferred in, right? And a lot of them only have 1 year. This is their only year here. Are they already checked out and just done with this team, done with the season, saying, okay, well, let me, get what I can on tape for the draft? It's just a bad situation to be in for Florida State unless you somehow find a way to upset Wake Forest, which I don't expect to happen, and rally off a couple of wins before North Carolina. But this is just worst case scenario for Mike Norvell and Florida State right now.
Yeah, I think this is the most important. I really got to think about what he's coached. I know he's coached in other conference championships games, but we talked about this. I mean, the Wake Forest game was one of the most important games coming into the season on the schedule anyway. This is probably the most important game of his career. Again, I don't really see a situation where Florida State can come out and lose by 21 on Saturday against Wake Forest, and I don't think Norvell's going anywhere, right? Like maybe with an 0-12 season he does, maybe 1-11. I don't know. I don't think Florida State's in a position to be getting rid of anybody. And I think that Florida State, we talk about this, like progress is not linear, and so. It's one step forward last week by having a good showing against probably a very overrated Notre Dame team, but it's 15 steps backwards. It's not even like 1 forward and 2 backwards. It's like 15 backwards losing like this. But I think that Wake Forest game is incredibly important. I think if Florida State, not like all would be forgiven, right? Like you still lost a really, really bad game. That was inexcusable. But if you were to come out and beat Wake Forest and show that you rebounded and show that you kind of got your team refocused, got them to not quit, which we probably all expect. If they were to come out and beat Wake Forest, and we're like a 0 right now, right? This is rock bottom losing to an FCS team. This is Florida losing to Georgia Southern. This is Miami losing to FIU. Like this is bad, right? And so we're a 0 right now, but you come out and beat Wake Forest, an ACC team on the road that's 2-0 right now, has put up 80+ points in their first 2 games. Maybe you wiggle your way back up to like a 3 or 4, right? Like, I don't know. On your scale of 1 to 10, I don't think there's any positive to take from this. But if you come out and beat Wake Forest this week, it means the team didn't quit, right? Like he was able to get him a rally. Guys are still invested. I don't know. Does that mean being ultra hopeful there?
A win over Wake Forest does nothing for me at this point. You cannot lose to an FCS school the first time in the program's history. 27 games. They were 26-0 prior to last night. A win over Wake Forest doesn't do much, but
it does something.
Maybe it starts us and gets us in the right direction. But I can tell you, if we could beat Wake Forest 45-20 next week, I'm not going to go to bed thinking, man, there we go. We're back on track, because I'm going to be worried again. Like UNC last year, where we all thought we had turned a corner. Then Louisville happened. Then Notre Dame this year, we all thought, man, that was us. And then we saw what Toledo did to Notre Dame, and we saw how Florida State lost to Jacksonville State last night, inexplicably. So a win over Wake Forest would be huge in that moment in time. But Man, I don't know if I'm just scarred or what, but I don't know. I'm going to need to see 3-4 wins in a row before I can start feeling good about this team again.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to get that. I think that you're looking at a 3 to 4 win team max. I think that the UMass game is still probably a win. I still really like Florida State against Syracuse, and then I think they probably luck into 1 or 2 more wins. Right? Maybe they beat Louisville. Maybe they, NC State. The ACC. I will tell you, the one good thing for FSU is that the ACC is just absolutely terrible right now, and every other team that's going out there and playing they're not losing to FCS teams, but they're losing pretty close. Like Georgia Tech, and unfortunately we don't play them, but yeah, the rest of the ACC is really, really bad. Like I was thinking NC State was good after they beat USF 45-0. They go up and lose in Starkville. That is the one redeeming hope is how bad the ACC is. Miami should have lost yesterday to App State. Not that I have any hope for that Miami game at all now, but the ACC is just complete hot garbage. And Clemson's above average. I mean, they're good because they have a lot of talent, but their quarterback situation isn't great either. I mean, they're going to beat our brains in, but the one redeeming thing is that, the ACC is bad, and we'll probably luck into a couple of wins. I think if you get to 4 after losing Jacksonville State, I think if you get to 4, that's a positive. I mean, as bad as that sounds, I think 4 wins right now is really good. We were all saying 5-7, 6-6, and you lost the second easiest game on the schedule. So you can find a way to win 3 tougher games than that. That's probably a good thing.
And realistically, Florida State is going to beat somebody that none of us expect to beat heading into the week. It will likely happen at some point this year. But it's that same situation where here we are, where we hear about the climate, we're excited, we're moving in the right direction. I think we had a phenomenal offseason. The recruiting hype was as high as it can be. And then Notre Dame happens. It was a special electric night in Doe Campbell Stadium. And then you follow it up with this. And it's just unforgivable. It's Mike Gravel. What are we doing? And, and we can blame Adam Fuller for putting us in a horrible position on the final play of the game. But if Jacksonville State scores 20 points, I think every Florida State fan would assume we're going to win that game, not just put up 17 points and take the loss. So there is plenty of blame to go around. And we're not just going to sit here and trash the staff and players, because anybody who watched last night or saw the highlights and sees the results knows what happened. There's plenty of blame to go around. And we need to fix this moving forward, because we're getting dangerously close to, Nebraska and Tennessee territory in terms of, once very proud programs that I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. Getting very, very close, if not already at probably not there yet. Recruiting's still strong. I mean, you saw a lot of guys come out today and just say like, hey, still locked in, still committed. Doesn't matter how many we win or lose. I mean, you're seeing a lot of that from players. I mean, we'll see what that looks like in December on early signing day or not. But I mean, you're getting closer and closer to, like you just said, irrelevance, right? And other teams have battled this. Other teams have gone through this. I mean, Florida won 4 games in a year and lost to Georgia Southern, who didn't complete a pass. I mean, down moments and low moments like that happen, and you just like them to not happen after you kind of felt good after a decent showing 6 days before. You wonder if, like, we joked about the weather earlier. You just wonder what the mental makeup of this team is, because did you need like a Bobby Bowden tribute to get up for Jacksonville State? And I told you guys this. I don't remember if I said on the pod or not, but Bud looked over at me at the Notre Dame game and said, like, what do you think? And I was like, well, I think it's easy to get up for Notre Dame, but like, how do you look next? I didn't even say Jacksonville State. I said, how do you look against Wake? I mean, because that's how much we took that game for granted. And I just wondered, did the rest of the team, they take that game for granted too? Like, hey, there's no way we're losing this one. And, take an opponent lightly. And, you led by 2 scores late in the 4th. I mean, you probably still should have won, but you have 2 breakdowns or 1 long drive and 1 breakdown. And there you go. You lose, like you got to make plays when you can. You got to not drop touchdowns or anything else,
Well, that's the thing. This game should have been over early, right?
Sure.
The chances were there very early on in Jacksonville State, especially after what happened last week. Florida State goes up 14, 17-0. Jacksonville State's not coming back from that. But when you let a bad team hang around, and that might have been what happened last week for all we know, where with Florida State, you just let a team that doesn't belong on the same field as their opponent, you let them hang around, they're going to have a chance. And then as fluky as it was on that last play, again, you let them hang around and you made that an option, because otherwise that's just, okay, they cut the lead from 40 points to 33. No, they beat you with that because you allowed them to hang around. And then I don't know what you were doing. I know Jacksonville State still had a timeout, but they were still 59 yards away from the goal line, and to allow that to happen, that there's just, again, said it multiple times, plenty of blame to go around for everybody.
Looking forward, we've talked about some of the different games. Again, we'll talk more about Wake Forest specifically on Thursday night when we preview that game. Game previews right now just seem daunting to even think about, but we will still preview the game. We're still here tonight, no weeks off. At the end of the day, I didn't call any plays. I worked my butt off sending in my booster check this month. So, I'm going to just sit here and talk about it, right? Stand up and keep doing the pod. So that Wake Forest game, again, probably the most important game of the season before the season started. Certainly now the most important game that Mike Norvell has ever coached at Florida State. Again, not like Florida State, not like all will be forgiven, but obviously you at least try to move back in the right direction with a win on the road as an underdog. I can't believe that Wake Forest is a side game, but it will be. ESPN's FPI, which we reference a lot on here, not that we're not big believers or not, but gives Florida State better than a third chance to win that. So it says that Florida State wins that 1 in 3 times. Wake Forest has a 63% chance to win the game, according to ESPN. ESPN's FPI still says that Florida State is a favorite against Louisville and Syracuse, having a 74% chance to beat Syracuse and a 60% chance to beat Louisville. That's why I think if Florida State can win this game Saturday against Wake Forest, which I don't believe happens, they're a 6.5-point dog. It opened up at 5 and then jumped up pretty quickly. If Florida State could win that game, I do think they rattle off the next 2 wins against Louisville and Syracuse to get to 3-2. They go 3-3 by losing to North Carolina, and then you go 4-3 by beating UMass, right? And that may be the last win. That may be the last win, but you'd at least get to a winning record. You'd get to 4-3 before Clemson goes in and beats your brains in. You're 4-4 coming out of that Clemson game, and you've got 4 games to try and figure out a 5th and 6th win. Probably does not happen. I don't think there's any chance that Florida State gets to a bowl at this point without pulling off a couple of major upsets. But again, the Wake Forest game we said before the season was huge. It's obviously even bigger now. Any other thoughts on FSU football before we move on to something that's more enjoyable to talk about than that?
Nope, I'm actually having a pretty decent Sunday, and I'd like to keep it that way by minimizing this conversation as much as possible.
Cool. So we have our favorite segment. I'm going to upload that right now. We've gotten great feedback on this. It continues to be the best part of our show. And so I'm going to, okay. So Snacking with Sky, you guys love this. Will It Tailgate. Week 1, we did, what did we do?
Come on.
Guthrie's chicken tenders. Come on, fall asleep at the wheel here. Florida State's wiped my memory from what's going on. Guthrie's chicken tenders. Then we did Madso BLT dip. This week, do you know what it is, Richie? Did I tell you?
I do know what it is, yeah. And I love it. And I think it will, but we'll see what Sky says.
Hobbits, garnet, and gold wings. Listen, depressing FSU football for sure. No one is depressed when they're eating Hobbits, garnet, and gold wings. Let's do Snacking with Sky real quick, and then we'll be back and we'll talk a couple more things, some NFL football, some other Florida State sports, and we'll get out of here.
You gonna try that? Oh, why would you do that? Welcome to Snacking with Sky. It's the show where I eat food and then I tell you about that food. I have had 2 cold brews today and absolutely nothing else. I'm very hungry. I'm wasting 0 time today. It's all gas, no brakes. But the place that we are talking about today is Hobbit American Grill. There are 2 locations and one is conveniently located on Pensacola Street right next to Doak Campbell. I've been there plenty of times to watch football. I've gotten some boneless wings, gotten burgers, but I have never had what I am reviewing today. The garnet and gold sauce on the wings. We've got 5 markers for tailgateability of an item. I'm gonna put those right there so we can refresh our memory. Let's snack into it. Yo, would you get a buffalo load of this? Bam! 10 garnet and gold wings. Oh my God, I thought I saw something move. It must have just been a poultrygeist. But garnet and gold wings are a mix of mild sauce and Carolina gold sauce, which to me really just sounds flat out delicious. I'll be here all day. I need to eat something. First bite factor, garnet and gold wings. I'm very ready to snack into this. I'm very hungry. It's just sweet enough. It's got like a hint on the back, a little bit of that spice. I'm actually really thrilled with how these taste. Yeah, that's a 2 out of 2. I know, I'm just, oh, it's, where'd that spice come from? The spice keeps hitting me in. So convenience. If you get these without sauce, it's a 2 out of 2. But if you see, with sauce, it's gonna drip. It's gonna drip. But if you're not sitting down with a plate and a napkin, there's likely gonna be some casualties. It'll be your outfit. If you're gonna get these dry and get your sauces on the side. It'll make it like a 1 out of 2, I think, for convenience, because you still gotta make sure that you're dipping it in the sauce. Yeah, not bad at all. Durability, I feel like, and maybe I'm weird for saying this, but you know how like, okay, you've been at the game. You're in that sort of post-game haze, and you make your way back to the lot you were tailgating in. You are now a scavenger. You're on the hunt for something delicious. And you got options, right? You got maybe some dip. It's looking a little sus. That's what the kids say, the youth. And there she is, a plate of wings. One thing that doesn't ever look not appetizing is wings. Durability, you bet your chicken butt that I would absolutely eat these after a game. It's a 2 out of 2. Wings are made for this sort of thing. I'm a wimp. It keeps, it's not unbearably spicy. I just get like some pepper and it's like, whoa. Mixing 2 sauces is not a crazy thing. However, the flavor is really unique and I don't know what they're putting in their Carolina gold sauce. Their mild sauce, that's what it is a mix of. But it's got, I know I'm like a professional food reviewer. I really am having a lot of trouble. Let me just try again, hold on. Okay, honey mustard was a little less sweet. Join forces with a mild buffalo sauce. There's just something different about the sweetness. It doesn't hit too hard. I would be remiss if we did not discuss this. Yes! You've got blue cheese, and then you have Hobbit American Grill blue cheese. And baby, it's, you know how those makeup artists are like, this will be the palette I'm using. Okay, well, this will be the blue cheese I'm using. Who am I? Who do I think I am? I have a ring light and I'm talking about blue cheese. It is like a poppy seed blue cheese. I've never had anything like that before. I don't know how they came up with this recipe. I don't know if it was some genius in their kitchen or if somebody made a mistake and it was just a bunch of drum luck. They should serve their blue cheese like Dairy Queen serves their Blizzard and just say, do you have any further questions? 1.5 out of 2 for originality. I'm sorry if I'm a little ridiculous. I'm just feeling a little saucy today. It's spicy, but it's good. Value, 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 value. So the most popular tailgating package that they have at Hobbit serves 8 to 10 people. It's 2 large veggie platters, 100 wings, multitude of sauces, $149.99. It's called the Fellowship of the Wing. Puns have a nice wing to it. Is it the best deal I've ever seen for a tailgate? No. However, I think it's super, super reasonable. Hobbit, it's a 7 out of 10. Will it tailgate? It's chicken wings. They're garnet and gold chicken wings. It will tailgate. 100%. Thank you so much for snacking with Sky. Stay hungry, and as always, I will see you at the tailgate. Some people just aren't football people, you know?
Continuing to be the best part of Double Fries No Slaw, Snacking with Sky, Will It Tailgate. Okay, I love Hobbit. This is not a free plug for Hobbit, but it sure is. They just followed us this week on Twitter. That was cool. I love garnet and gold wings. Harlan and I had some the Saturday, while we watched Miami lose to Alabama. So big fan of the garnet and gold wings. Richie, you get a different. What kind of wings do you get there?
Yeah, so I typically just get the Carolina Golds, so it's just half of the garden gold wings, that just not mixed with the mild sauce. But yeah, Hobbit wings are great. When I was in school on Sundays, they were 50-cent wings, so I'd always get like 12 of them to go for $6. You could not beat the deal, and I could definitely see them tailgating, because any chicken wing tailgates. I mean, it's simple math, right?
Dude, I remember when I was in college, there was a Buffalo Wild Wings, like right behind Liberty. Well, I'm sure it's still there, but when I started college, wings, I want to say, were 35 cents on wing night and 40 cents on boneless night, which was Wednesday, and wing night was Tuesday. And we would go every Tuesday and Wednesday. By the time I left college, I was only up there for 2 years. I finished up the last 2 years online. By the time I left college, it was 55 and 65 cents. Like, they had gone up that much in 2 years. It no longer was a good deal. But like, I get like 20 wings for $7, like when they were 35 cents. Such a great deal. So anyway, love Hobbit. If they'd like to sponsor a segment on the show, please reach out. We'd love to have you. All right, let's talk a little NFL football. Some fun stuff has happened since we last spoke. Couple of some great QB play from a couple of QBs that we've mentioned a ton on this show. Start us off, Richie. Thursday night game went down to the wire between the Bucs and Cowboys. What were your thoughts after the Bucs picked up a good? I will say good teams win, great teams cover. But what were your thoughts after the Bucs picked up a big win on Thursday evening?
You know what? It was as a Florida State fan, between Notre Dame last week, Jacksonville State yesterday, and the Bucs on Thursday, man, it's been a stressful 3 games of football for me. But I'm just happy with the win, to be honest. You're the Super Bowl champs. You have a target on your back. Nobody on this team really, other than Brady and Gronk, are used to that. And they answered the bell. You could say maybe Chris Godwin got away with an offensive pass interference, and I wouldn't argue if you said he did, but that's how the game played out, and the Bucs got the win, so I'm happy. And then my wife, as you know, TJ Lindsay, a very loyal Saints fan, she was very happy, as I'm sure you were, with how that game turned out today.
Yeah, no, going back to that, I mean, yeah, they probably did miss an offensive pass interference call, but refs miss calls several times during games, and it's only really remembered when it's in the last like 30 seconds like that. So,
Exactly.
The Bucs probably didn't play their very best on defense. Dallas left a lot of points out there on the field. But I think everybody in the world knew that when Brady got the ball back with a minute 20 to go, he was going to go down and probably, lead the team to a win. So, today's game was a lot of fun. Redeemed the weekend a little bit for me after a pretty terrible performance on Saturday night. Harlan and I were talking about this before. I hate when you root really hard for like the team that's playing your rival, App State, and then they blow it late at the end. Like, App State should have beat Miami yesterday. So I was like, oh man, App State, Florida didn't look great against USF. App State's going to beat Miami, and then we're going to win. This could be a great weekend. And then, the wheels came off, and Miami beat App State, and we lost, obviously. But then, Jameis today was fantastic for the Saints. Really, really smart with the ball. There were several times, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman called the game, that they even commented on it, that, there were times that Jameis just threw the ball away or took off running and then protected the ball. And those are things that he probably doesn't do 2-3 years ago. He probably just tries to force the ball and does something stupid with it. But, he's never – and I know that the Bucs had a great all-around team last year. That they got much, much better because of the Brady effect. Guys came to Tampa with Brady. But I'm telling you, Jameis has not had a running game, an offensive line, or a defense like this since 2013. Maybe running game, we'll give him Dalvin. But hasn't had a defense or an offensive line like this in his entire time in Tampa, right? Like, the Bucs, added Brady, which, improving your quarterback is massive, but they also, drafted Wirfs, who was an incredible talent on the offensive line last year. The weapons that they were able to add with Gronk and AB and Fournette and those guys were fantastic. And then the defense last year for the Bucs is better than it ever was with Jameis in town. So, Hunter says, or has eyes that are healthy. So the LASIK surgery seemed to work. Jameis threw one pick, but it was called back thanks to a penalty. Sometimes superstars get calls like that. So good on him for that. But 5 touchdowns, no picks. and I didn't see the final score of that, but it was 38-3 when we started the podcast, and I assume that's where it ended. So cool to see him go, and hopefully he flourishes there. Richie and I have kind of gone back and forth about the Jameis Brady thing a ton, but I think where it all kind of lands is like both teams can kind of win that situation. I think it was good for Jameis to have a change of scenery, not have to be the man, get to learn behind Breeze. The Bucs obviously got their Super Bowl out of it, and the Saints could have the best, quarterback in the division for the next 5-6 years. So we'll kind of see how how it all plays out, but it could end up being good for both sides. So, 2 NFL games. Oh no, just one tonight, but 2 Monday night games. I always enjoy the Monday Night Football doubleheader. Oh no, just one tomorrow. They're not doing the 2.
Yeah, no, just one. It's too late for me. I'll be watching Bachelor in Paradise and then tuning out, and I'll see the highlights in the morning.
Yeah, it's tough when it's not your team.
It really is.
It's hard to care as much. Next week, Bucs big favorites against the Falcons. Saints slight favorites on the road against the Panthers. Who the Panthers? I mean, I know they were playing the Jets, but they look pretty decent today. So we'll see if both teams can get to 2-0. I would take both teams getting to 2-0 next week if that bet was somewhere. All right, quick little run around FSU, and then we can get out of here. Soccer went 2-0 this weekend. We'll have a recap up tomorrow morning of all of the sports that happened this weekend. But soccer went 2-0, one of those wins being against a top 10 Auburn team today. And then volleyball went 2-1 at the UCF Invitational, losing on, I want to say, Friday evening against – Saturday morning against UCF, if I remember correctly. Dropped that game, but won the other 2. That one against UCF did go to the 5th set. It was like 13-15 or something. It was really, really close, and UCF edged them out. But that team is definitely improving, definitely getting better every week. So good on them for going 2-1. I think they beat Georgia on Friday night, which is pretty impressive to beat an SEC team there, and then absolutely demolished Florida Gulf Coast, which is who soccer's first win was against on Thursday. We will be back actually, we may be back for a pop-up NFL episode sometime this week. Yeah. Just stay tuned for that. I don't want to say exactly when, but probably on Tuesday with a special guest. And then we will be back on Thursday to preview Wake Forest. That sounds daunting as of now, but no weeks off here at Double Fries No Slaw. We will we'll keep trucking, man. We'll keep pushing along and see what happens. Shorter show today. Again, you guys know what happened yesterday. Go watch some NFL tonight or Bachelor or whatever Richie's going to be watching. Have some fun. I don't even care. Do you have a song? You have a depressing song we could play? Something about puppies dying or something that would really set the mood off here?
I hate to, but I have to give one quick shout out to my mother-in-law. She is a retired professor from Jacksonville State, and she was very happy last night. But for a song, give me Beck Loser, because that just seems appropriate.
We will see you guys at some point for a pop-up this week. Again, probably Tuesday night, so check us out, NFL Focus Show. And then Thursday night for our Wake Forest preview. Hey, Richie and I, 3:30 game will be if we win on Saturday. There was nothing last night. I had nothing to say. I don't know how people did an instant reaction last night. Like, are you glutton for punishment? Like, yeah, we saw the show. Like, you don't have to. Nobody really cares about your thoughts after that. I mean, that's not. I mean, I know everyone did, and I know Noel's 247. I know, but I know everybody does their instant reaction shows. But I'm just like, yeah, we're depressed. You get it.
I'm not doing that.
Go check out No Cap Sundays. Harlan was up early with those guys on the roll up. No Cap Sundays. I'm sure that was a great episode today. I haven't listened to it yet because I don't want to cry. But go check that out. That's my shout out for the evening. Well, we'll see you guys later this week. And as hard as it is to say 24 hours later, but go Noles.